Janet. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. How's it going?
Listen, I think it's going to be fun. Why not?
It's going to be great. It's a new thing I'm doing. You know, I don't have any expectations. It's just fun, and it's been a really good excuse to talk to people.
Good. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Just I have actually 2 weeks off from work, and I usually take 2 weeks off every December, and I do all of my baking and everything for Christmas. So, I just do, basically I bake a bunch of stuff that's really good to freeze, and I stick it in my freezer. It's fun. It's, like I said, I get up early, and I've already made cupcakes, lemon cakes, and Oreo balls. So.
All today?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. That's great. That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt your baking, but...
Oh, my God, no. I made sure that I was, done with stuff by 10 o'clock, so
awesome.
I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you. So let me just tell you a little bit about what we're doing. So I had already mentioned when I reached out to you, but it's a podcast, and I haven't actually released anything yet. I'm hoping to. But the idea is, we all love our firefighters. They're really amazing, incredible people. But a lot of times... The people who are supporting them, we don't talk about them as much. So I like the idea. Robbie actually gave me the idea. He was listening to somebody on a podcast. He's like, hey, you should do this to talk to the firewives and just kind of get their perspective of things and how it's impacted your life.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Jeez, because I live a pretty boring life. I've been at the same job for 36 years doing insurance. And Mike and I got together in 89. And then the week before we were getting married, we found out that Mike got hired on the fire department. So right away, I knew that the fire department was probably going to stomp on a lot of plans. It took a while to get used to it, but, we did. Right. So we had to cancel our honeymoon, but we did get married. We had to wait to go till a year later. So I should have known then.
Yeah. It's definitely not a casual commitment. So
no.
It's funny. It was right before your wedding, but did it make you hesitate at all?
Oh, God, no, not at all. Because he'd been on the list, I think, for over 2 years. So when he got the call, he said to the chief, the problem, chief, is I'm getting married and supposed to be going on my honeymoon. And the chief said, well, you either go on your honeymoon or you come to this, interview or whatever the heck it was. I forget if it was the physical aspect of it or whatever it was. Wow. So he told me, I want to say, I don't know, maybe it was probably 5 days before we were getting married. And he's like, I have something to tell you. And I thought, oh my God, he's breaking up with me before the wedding.
Well, this is better than that.
Yeah. And then he said, no, he goes, when he told me about what the chief said. And I said, all right, well, then we just take our honeymoon another time because I know he was waiting for it. So, but, something he was waiting for. So I had to support it, and I did, and I don't regret it. So
that's great. That is very supportive of you. I know I'm sure a lot of people would not have said, oh, well.
Yeah.
Must have been very disappointing.
It was, but you know what? He got on and he had, a great career. He loved it while he was doing it. And we met I didn't think I was going to be as close to the fire family as I was. And now that he's retired and getting older, we don't see, that same group of people a lot like we used to. So that's hard for me. I miss that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've actually been talking to a few people, and a lot of them have mentioned the same thing, that the community and the friendships that you make are the best part of it. And now that, a part of that generation has retired, it's kind of falling through a little bit, which can be really hard.
Yeah. But we had, when Mike got on, we were all kind of having babies like you, like your generation now, you guys are having babies and you're dealing with little ones and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice, like when you see each other at fire events and stuff like that, you can brag about your kids or you can bitch about your kids, So it's everybody is in the same boat with that family. So
wow, that's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you're in insurance. What exactly do you do?
I do customer service for basically personal lines for auto and home insurance. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I've been there for 36 years. I have been trying to get out of it forever. ever. It's not parts of the job I like. Now we have a good group of people that I work with, but it's a kind of a thankless job. I get yelled at all the time because, everything's my fault. It's rates are high and this and that and the other thing. So you get abused a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
you mean you're not in charge of the government and everything that happens to cause all of these rates going up?
Yeah. I mean, it's all my fault. So,
right. Wow.
It is what it is. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. And I've been doing this for so long, I don't know anything else. And, to start over again somewhere else at this point, 56 years old, I don't feel like starting at the bottom somewhere else. So I'm just kind of sucking it up, and I'm hoping that, probably like within the next 6 years, hopefully I can retire.
Yeah.
I hope.
Good luck. Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
So now Mike retired. What year? Has it been 2, 3 years?
It is coming in January. It will be 3 years.
3 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And what is he doing now?
So he still has his bus company. Okay. So he does, it's not like a typical school bus company. His buses will pick up kids from either the elementary schools or the middle schools and then take them to the after-school program at the Tobin School in Natick. Sometimes he has to drive. He's hurting for drivers. Nobody wants to drive. And one of the guys is still on the fire department. So when he's working, on shift, Mike usually has to drive the bus. Mike doesn't drive the bus every day unless they need like an extra bus for something or they're going on field trips. So he's got that. And then he's got his big excavator machine, which is currently up in Maine. So sometimes he'll have jobs with that. Right now, it's kind of a funky time of year. There's not much going on with the machine work. But this is nice for me because I get to, he's around when I'm, on this part of the vacation. So I can, we can hang out and do stuff together. So, but in the spring and the summer, he's definitely busier with that stuff. And he makes dinner probably 3 to 4 nights a week, which is good because then I come home and I don't have to worry about dinner.
Yeah.
So
that's huge. Making dinner every night is it's a lot.
It is. It's a pain.
Yeah, sure. It's the small things every day that you don't think about. You're like the laundry, the dinner, but that's what takes it out of you sometimes.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So some of the kind of themes that I've been talking to people about is tell me about your favorite part of being a fire wife, your least favorite part, kind of what it means to you to have been part of that journey for him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect to be as close to the fire family as I was. And, it's just one of those things like you can't help but be a part of it because, you're all in the same boat. Holidays get missed, birthdays get missed. Yeah, I'll never forget one year Mike was working, I think he was working Christmas Eve for 24 hours. And then he ended up working 24 hours overtime on Christmas Day. So it was 48 hours that he was gone. And that was hard because, my kids were younger. And I was making all of my desserts, and I had a tray that I made for the fire department. So we were going down there on Christmas Day, I think. We were going down there to drop them off and to see Mike. And I was already emotional because he was missing Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I was upstairs getting dressed, and I have a 3-season porch. So in the wintertime, I put a lot of my desserts out there because they stay cold. And the dog next door got into the porch and he ate all of the desserts.
No.
And I had a complete meltdown. My neighbor came over. She comes up to my bedroom and I'm in the bathroom and I'm hysterically crying. You would have thought but it was just it was a compounding of everything, so, but stuff like that was hard, missing birthdays or especially if they're doing 3 nights in a row at the station. That's hard sometimes, especially when we first got married, we were in a new house in a different town. So that was hard to get used to.
Yeah.
But I also loved, they had a lot more get-togethers back then, which they don't do now, which bums me out because, it's something that I'll always cherish. We always did just different get-togethers for different things, the fire department Christmas party, the kids' Christmas party. There was so many things that we all, got together for. And now it's a different thing now. And so I miss that because that's, I think, was part of my salvation, especially when the kids were younger, because everybody else was going through the same thing. So
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people about that as well. I think post-COVID things changed, and it's been it's very much a bummer because had I not started doing this, I haven't talked to somebody from the fire department in months probably.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. We also don't live in the same town, which is distancing us a little bit, but we're not that far.
No, you're not far.
We're not that far. So we're going to, we're going back to doing the Christmas parties with the kids, the one where Santa comes. And Robbie has been talking about maybe doing not a shift party, but a Christmas party.
Yeah.
But we have young kids and that's hard too. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I used to do them. I took the Christmas parties over from, so Lisa Spencer and Cindy Alberghini used to do the Christmas parties. And then I took that over for a while. And that was hard. And the good thing about that was we would invite all the retired people as well. And the retired people were, I think, more excited about coming than the guys that were, on shift. But then, it was an opportunity to get together. I always tried to keep the cost down because, you want to be able to have everybody come.
Yeah.
And, every year without fail, people would complain about, oh, what do you mean it's, $25 a person? I think I had everybody pay, and I think it was $15 a person, maybe $20 a person.
That's a smart way to do it.
Yeah. And it was, I had a lot of fun doing it, but a lot of people complained because they want the Christmas party, but they don't want to go along with everything that, there's a lot of work that goes into it. So, but I do miss that because I had fun with it. But we used to have, when everybody was getting married, going to the weddings and stuff like that. That was fun because you could actually have a party with everybody and everybody got along. I don't think there was really, like a cliquey kind of group that we had, so, but yeah, there was lots of fun. And we used to all go down to the fire station for everything. We'd go down there to see, I go down to see Mike with the kids or whatever, and then other wives would be down there too, just to kind of hang out for a few minutes in between calls. Or you get there, you just sit down, start chatting, and they get called away, so, but, that's all right. That's just the way it was.
Yeah, I think of it sometimes when we go visit, even if it's for 20 minutes, I'm like, at least that's not 24 hours that he didn't see his kids,
Right.
For me, whatever, I'll FaceTime them. It's fine. But his kids are little and this time passes very quickly. So at least it's not a full day that you didn't see your children. And that happens so regularly for them. So.
Yeah. And my kids from day one knew that if Mike had to work on Christmas, we always told them that, we talked to Santa Claus and he's going to come the next day. And, I always told the kids, like, this is Dad's job. And I said, you want Dad to be working because, somebody needs his help. Maybe if somebody's hurt or in a fire or something, you would want your dad to help them.
That's right.
And we just have to wait an extra day for Christmas. That's all. Same with birthdays and, family things and things like that. I wouldn't expect him to take days off to go to like a christening or for like one of our nephew or niece's birthday parties. Like I wouldn't expect it. You got to pick and choose what you want to have them take off,
Absolutely.
And I do know that, some firefighter spouses like want them to take time off for everything.
It's not practical.
No, and I've never been that person. So, but there are some that definitely they want their husbands there for everything.
Yeah. Robbie tells me sometimes some of the spouses, they have like contradictory expectations. They want the money, but they also don't want them to work. And you just can't have both. It's not possible.
Can't have both. And you know what? While they're younger and they still have the energy to work and they're still healthy enough to work, they do it. I mean, and the thing is like back when Mike was on, overtime was like a big deal. Mm-hmm. And now like the brand new kids coming in, none of them want to work overtime. They come in, they do their shift, and they leave. They don't have second jobs, but they're young. They should be. Like I'm thinking to myself, if you're not married, you don't have kids, and you have time on your hands, you should be working like a dog, like when you're younger, because it just makes it that much easier when you get older. But again, different generation. These kids coming on now, so. Mm-hmm.
It can be different. It also depends on what they need, right? I think the hard part when you're young is thinking about the future. So maybe they don't recognize that one day you're not going to be able to take all this overtime. So save up now.
Exactly.
But if they're getting by and they're doing fine, maybe they just feel like, why should I work so hard?
Yeah.
But I hear you, because right now it's a lot harder for Robbie to take an overtime than 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Yep. And even retirement parties they used to have, people were more involved with them and a lot more people would show up. Now it's definitely phased out a lot, so it bums me out because again, the younger generation, I don't think truly appreciates that bond that you have. These are people that you're spending at least 24 hours at a time with. You're eating dinner with them. You're eating breakfast with them. You're going on some of them are awful calls, and you're living it with these other people. It's not just a job. It's a family. That's why I said it's my fire family. But definitely, like I said, the kids that are like in their early 20s, they don't see it that way. It's just a job. Yeah. This is nothing. This is anything but a job,
Absolutely. And you know that better than anybody, because not only did you marry into the fire department, your brother's a firefighter on the same department, was a firefighter on the same department.
Yep.
Yeah. So how was that for you, having both of them at the same place?
Well, so I didn't really know how it was going to go, but, my brother had been on I think my brother got on, I want to say in like maybe 1986 or 1987. And then Mike got on in 93. So, but I mean, I didn't know how it was going to work out, but it actually was fine. They did, well. My brother Danny is a little bit stubborn, so I didn't know if they were going to have, they were going to disagree on things, but they actually did fine. That's the thing. It's like you're used to doing something one way, but if somebody says, well, if you do it this way, maybe, maybe you'll see this instead. So it was kind of good, because then I think I didn't know if my brother was going to be very critical of Mike when he was on. But, I mean, at one point, Danny was the president of the union, and Mike was vice president.
Wow.
And they worked together, and they worked well. So
yeah, sounds like they must have gotten along pretty well to be able to do it that closely.
Wow. So my brother's very stubborn, so it was good. But my brother's very smart with that stuff. Even to this day, he's very knowledgeable with that stuff. And I think they just agree. You don't have to agree with what each other says, but you just have to kind of still back each other up, and you can have a different opinion. It's fine.
Yeah, and be respectful, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see a difference in their relationship at work versus when they were off shift?
Not really, because they were who they were, whether they were on shift or off shift.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good. It sounds like they got on. It's family. Just like you said, you may not agree all the time, but you have to just be able to set that aside and still treat each other with respect.
Right.
That's great.
Yep.
Other than, maybe Mike missing holidays and stuff like that, what was your least favorite part, you think, of being a firewife? Or what was the hardest part?
Like I said, it was the multiple nights in a row, like if you got overtime. Like you can do 24 hours is fine, 36 hours, 48 is fine, but sometimes you get like the 3 nights in a row. Or like I said, if vacations kind of have to work around, not that we had too many vacations, but yeah, it's just being away. So
how did you talk to your kids about it when they were little?
They just knew that his schedule was that he would have to sleep at the fire station. And like I said, if he was gone for a while, like we would go by and see him. And, and that was fine. They kind of knew nothing else, like right from day one. It wasn't like he wasn't a firefighter. And then, we raised our kids for, 5 or 6 years, and then Dad got on the fire department. They knew right from the beginning that Dad was going to be home some nights and some weekends. That's another thing. Weekends were tough. Like if his days fell on the weekends, and the shift that they have now is much better, because they do the 24, 2 off, 24, and then 4 off. Before, when we originally got married, they would do 2 10-hour days. So they'd go in 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then they would do 2 12-hour nights. So they would go in at 6 p.m. and work till 8 a.m. So they were working. I think they only had like 1 full weekend off, like every 6 weeks or something.
Oh, wow.
So like his work schedule, I would work during the week, but then if his days fell or his nights fell on Saturday and Sunday, then that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Because, you want to be able to hang out, but now, I mean, I loved the 24-hour schedule change. I loved that because then if he worked one 24-hour shift on a Saturday, you knew he had Sunday off, or, vice versa.
Right.
Much better than it used to be. So the scheduling was a little bit, hard to work with. And then you would be, planning something and going somewhere, and then someone would call from the station and saying, I'm in a dilemma. I'm going to have to force somebody. I can't get anybody to come in on overtime. Mike would feel bad and work, and whatever it is we had planned, we have to do it without him. So and I get it, because it sucks to have to get forced to work, especially if you have stuff going on. Not that they don't care if you have something going on, but you get forced. That's the way it is. That's the chance you take. I think people are getting forced more now than they used to, because not as many people want to work the overtime. The younger kids don't want to work the overtime. I think it was more volunteering. Like you knew who had kids. You knew kind of what your schedule was. You knew what other schedules were. And you would, you just kind of go out of your way and you would offer to help somebody, where, again, I don't know how much that happens now, which was good. So we had, and Mike, luckily he got along with like the younger kids, the older guys, the ones in the middle. He kind of like fit in anywhere, which was a good thing. Like I said, he doesn't, sometimes I think he needs to take things a little more seriously. But
I know what you mean. I know sometimes I think they see so much stuff that things that we take seriously, they're like, this is nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's emotional, like, and then you have emotional times, like when the guys in Worcester, they died in the fire. At that time, we were living with my mother because we had sold our house in Franklin, and we bought this house, but we were renovating it. And that was the first time I ever saw my husband cry. Mm. It was really sad. Like and he didn't even know them, but you think about stuff like that. And, I think it just hits you a certain way, and then you get all weepy about it. So you don't know, sometimes you don't know what to do. And like some of the calls, like, especially with kids involved, I know they had a call one time with a little baby, and I think everyone was kind of panicking. And I think Eric Williamson, stepped up and he said, everybody, like he kind of raised his voice and just said, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. You guys have to stay on, he kind of like somebody took charge and kind of reined everybody in. Because he was, at the time, he was the only one that didn't have kids. Oh. So it was kind of hitting the firefighters hard because they had kids. And that's another thing too. Like you go on a call and it involves a little kid or a newborn baby or something like that. It hits them really, really hard, and you don't realize it. And then, luckily there was somebody that said, okay, stop. Like we have a job to do. And he just kind of assigned everybody jobs. Right. And he kind of, and Mike said that was like, he like had so much respect for him for just being able to pull everybody in and say, okay, you guys, he stopped everything and then just kind of give everybody an assignment. And it was.
Yeah, that's a great leadership move.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, some of the stuff, like I could tell it was bad, but Mike wouldn't even say anything about it because I would only get upset. So some stuff, he would never even tell me. And I didn't need to know all that stuff, but it's even harder for them because they're there trying to stay in control.
And then they have to come home and act like it's normal.
Right. And working, being brought up in the same town and working in the same town that as a firefighter, when you go into somebody's house, you don't know if it's going to be somebody you know. Or you hear an address, it's, oh, that's my mother's house, or that's my house, or, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you didn't grow up in Natick?
I did. Yeah, okay. I did.
Okay.
Yep. And it was funny because I used to, when he was on duty, I would always keep the scanner on.
Oh, you would?
So, yeah, just so I knew where he was. So, like because I don't like to be caught off guard. So God forbid if something did happen, I know about where he was. And if something happened, they can get him to a hospital quick, that kind of thing. He had to go to the hospital one time, and I think my brother Danny had called me. Again, we were living at my mother's at the time. Something happened with a furnace or something, and Mike had gotten up to go do something, and this didn't backfire, but like did like a puff back, and it burned off his eyebrows.
Oh,
So
yikes.
he was in the ER, and I got so upset. Like, he was fine, but it's still scary, because that could have been, because I go the other way. We're like, oh my God, he could have burned his whole face off. I mean, he was fine. I went in to see him. He had, his eyes were covered and everything. So, I mean, it was a little scary.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to be fine, but looking at him, I was terrified. So, yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster.
For sure. I don't think I could do that with, you mentioned the scanner. I think for me, and I've talked to some people about this too, I like to not think about it, especially because not only is Robbie a firefighter, he's also a contractor. So,
Yep.
he's playing with saws and this and that. So
Yep.
I guess he just likes to take risks with his life. And I just can't think about it too much,
Yep.
because otherwise you just be stressed all day.
Yep, I do. I would turn the scanner off when he was home.
Right. That's good.
But just from in my own head, I needed to know, that he's back in quarters, safe. Just it's not so. I guess it's really not so much where he's going on the call. It's just knowing that he got back and he's safe.
Of course.
Yeah. Kind of twisted, but yeah.
No, it absolutely makes sense. I think, that we commit to these people and you expect them to be part of your life till you're old,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And now your other half is leaving and you just have to deal with that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you feel it impacted your marriage?
I definitely, especially when I was younger, you're still trying to get used to like being married, newlyweds. We just bought a house. So now you're trying to get used to being in a new house in a different town, not even in my hometown. We moved out to Franklin for 6 years, and you have this crazy schedule and stuff like that. So it was definitely, I think he had a lot more freedom in terms of, I worked, every day, Monday through Friday. But like if he wasn't working and he wasn't doing his side stuff, like he'd go out, to lunch, or he'd, meet up with whatever. So like it got to the point where like, well, he's got to socialize and I don't. And then we had kids, so I really had no social life. And I'd be jealous because he's walking out the door to go to work, and I'm left home with the kids. And I thought, okay, I'm already ready for a breakdown. So I mean, it is hard. It's very hard to. You want to strangle them, but at the same time, it's their job. But luckily, we only live down the street, so we could go see him at whatever fire station. But yeah, it definitely was a bit of a roller coaster for a while. It's really hard to get used to their schedule and get used to the disappointments of the schedule. As I got older, it got a little bit easier because my kids were older, and it was easier. But when you're like I always felt like I was tied down, especially when the kids were younger, and I couldn't get a break. And at least he got to go to work, and I would go to work too, but I didn't work as many hours. So it definitely does take a toll on the marriage for sure. And it's, when you're going through it, you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this,
Yeah. How did you get through it? What do you think was helpful to you?
I just was determined just to, make it work kind of thing. And I'm definitely, again, as I get older, the things that used to bother me when I was younger, I don't care about anymore. And it's only because, like, you realize when you're going through stuff, if that's the worst thing that happened, it's really not that bad. But you don't see that until you get older. So I think but I do feel for the couples that have firefighter spouses, whether female or male, and they're having kids, and it's a tough schedule to work around. Like I said, it's a lot of disappointment in terms of the schedule. Yeah. You're all ready to go out, and someone gets a call that someone's got to come into work, or you'll be in bed and get a call in the middle of the night because they need somebody to come in and pilot, and he'd be getting up in the middle of the night to go in and pilot at the station. So that stuff is, you get used to it. You don't ever really like it. It's just something you have to get used to, but it still sucks.
Yeah.
But like I said, as I got older and the kids got older, it got easier. And like I said, there were some things that used to bother me. And then as I got older, when he was on the fire station, it didn't bother me. But you just have to, you first get married. Again, you're supposed to be your newlyweds, you're supposed to hang out, you're supposed to do this. And right from the start, I thought, the fire department is like right from the beginning, taking over my life.
Yeah. And it does that, right? And even after they retire, I'm sure he still thinks about it and misses it.
Yeah. I mean, he still goes out, usually like on Wednesdays. Like he meets some of the retired guys out probably like once every like 6 or 8 weeks. A bunch of the retired guys, they go out to a big dinner. So he keeps in touch with them, and I'm glad that he does, because then he can still have them around. So he keeps in contact with them pretty well.
That's great. I mean, those are his brothers, right? For the longest time, they're the ones who had his back. So that's really nice. Yeah. But I was just thinking about what you were saying earlier about how, the spouses are almost more excited about the parties because the firefighters are seeing each other all the time. Right. We need extracurriculars, so to speak, to be able to get in touch. It's hard. And it's nice to be involved with the fire family. And see, I love, once in a while, at the Firemen's Memorial, even not as many people go to that anymore. But, I get excited when I see the fire wives there because I do miss them. Of course. I grew up with them. And so seeing them for, an hour, to me, is awesome. But, again, nobody's having Christmas parties anymore. That if it wasn't so much work and this wasn't a crazy time of year for me, I would seriously consider doing it again, but it's just a busy time. But there's younger people that should be doing it, You just got to plan accordingly. There's younger ones that can do it. They don't have kids. Maybe they're not married. Maybe they have somebody, but but nobody wants to take that stuff over. It's breaking the tradition, Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if we could do something that's maybe not quite around Christmas because it's just such a busy time, It is a busy time. It's hard to find the right time, but I wonder if we could do something that's like a winter party. Right. And start that, it would be easier to get people together. I know Mike, when he was still on the fire department, he would say, I'd like to have a shift party at our house sometime. Okay, well, that's up to you. I'm not going to set it up. You have to talk to your shift to find out if that's something they want to do. Absolutely. We never ended up doing it. I told him, I said, you should just invite a bunch of people over. I don't care if it's in the springtime. Have people come over. We have a backyard. Our house isn't fancy, but at least it's someplace to land. And it's just one of those things. But yeah, it's just the traditions that were there when Mike was on the fire department. It's definitely, those have kind of gone away. And I don't know if they'll come back. It's not my place to step in and do anything at this point because now I'm a retired wife. Right. So, yeah. But they also, I wish the new generation would find something new to do, to involve everybody. And then to include the brand new firefighters, the one Rob's time. How long has he been on, Rob? I think 13 years now. Yeah. So you got to go get something for the ones that have been doing for a little bit, and some of the retirees that you've talked to. Just try to see about staying in touch or doing something or come up with a plan. They have young brains and they have, I think, more time, or they probably don't think they have more time, but they have more time. They certainly do. Yep. To put stuff together. I wish that the new generation could have experienced what I experienced as a wife of a new firefighter, being involved with all kinds of activities. That's stuff. It meant a lot. It was a lot of fun. You would laugh with all the
wives, and sometimes you cry with the wives.
Yeah.
You know?
I think when I got on, I didn't get on. When Robbie got on, it was great for me to have people like you who I could get to know and ask questions of, and not even just that, just be part of the group. And I wonder, just thinking back on how I felt when we first got on, I probably felt like it wasn't my place to invite people to my house because we're the kids. Like, nobody's going to want to come. So I wonder if that's what people are thinking. But it just kind of shows me maybe it's my job now as the middle of the road, right? We're not the kids on the department anymore, but we're also not he's not close to retiring yet.
Right.
So it would be something that somebody like me or my generation would probably be the person.
And it could be anything, whether it's you wanted to have like us, you could have a small get together, or you could say, how about everybody meet, how does this work and meet somewhere?
Yeah.
Just like, like I said, we used to do that kind of stuff all the time.
Right. Whoever can come can come. Right.
Right. And it's definitely hard too. Cause I know like kids definitely, once you have kids, believe me, I know it's, because there'd be a lot of times that I couldn't go because of the kids, and you can't always like keep asking somebody to babysit, you know? So it gets to the point that you have to stay home, but he's got to go to this get together. I can't go because of the kids. And then then you feel resentment, like that's when the resentment comes in, because this fire career thing, it's very difficult for both, because you're trying to figure it out as a spouse, and they can just walk out the door and like go to I have to stay home because we have nobody to watch the kids. So now you have to go. I can't go. And I desperately need to get out of the house, but you can go. Whatever it was, it could have been like something. There used to be like a weekend baseball tournament, and it would be like Saturday and Sunday, and we would have so much fun. And I was just lucky enough for a couple years that the kids were a little bit older, so I didn't necessarily need a babysitter, but I just need somebody to like poke their head in and check in on them, or I could, leave them alone if Alex was here. She was the older one. And that was a lot of fun, because we would literally have this tournament, and it was all the firefighters that were playing against each other, and it would narrow down the teams and stuff. And then after, we'd all end up at a bar. But like I said, it's definitely an emotional roller coaster, because it's like they have a job to do, but then sometimes he'd walk out of the house to go to work, and I would be like, yep, that's right. Just go ahead. You can just walk out and not have to worry about anything. Before I walk out of the house, I have to do this, this, and this, but you can just leave. It's literally like a crazy, crazy roller coaster.
Yeah. Do you feel like things are different now?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
The kids are home and we're leaving. They're like, where are you going? I'm like, we don't have to tell you.
None of your
business. We can actually go wherever we want, whenever we want. Our kids are all older. Yeah. And when are you coming home? I don't have to tell you, like, whenever I feel like it.
Right. How old are your kids?
I'm going to be home to sleep there, but...
That's why I paid the mortgage.
Yeah, exactly.
How old are your kids now?
Alex is 29.
Wow.
Lily will be 24 next month, and Darren is 22, and he'll be 23 in May.
Oh, my goodness. What are they all up to?
So Alex works at the YMCA at a preschool daycare kind of thing there.
Nice.
And then Lily, so she was at Framingham State, and she's been out since May. She got to walk at graduation, but she hasn't gotten her diploma yet, because she was shy a couple of credits for graduating. But then I guess the criteria for the number of credits you need to graduate changed.
Oh.
So she was able to what she did, she had to reapply to Framingham State so they could put it in, and then her credits transferred. So credit wise, she can graduate, but she owes them money. So they're not giving her diploma until she pays that back.
Yeah.
So, we've helped here and there, but the thing is, she had to live at school, and it was only Framingham. She could have saved probably $6,000 a semester by just living at home. So, and she hasn't gotten a job since she got out. So she's been not working.
Is she back at home with you?
she's back at home. She's between here and her boyfriend's mom's house. So sometimes they stay here, and then sometimes they go there. Basically, December 31st is the cutoff for her. So she's got to start, like, I still pay her cell phone bill because she was in school, so I just paid it. But I told her December 31, taking you off of that plan, you're going to have to pay for it on your own, and you need to get a job. I mean, things cost money. I don't know where the ball dropped with her because Mike has always worked multiple jobs. I'm running around always like a crazy person. Very rarely am I ever sitting down. And Alex is always working. Darren got his EMT.
Oh, nice.
He's taking advantage of that program through Mass Bay to get his paramedic. Nice. So it's free. So he starts the paramedic program in January.
Wow.
And in the meantime, he's working for Brewster Ambulance. He's still employed at Roach Brothers, but he's only doing like a couple shifts here and there.
What's his plan?
I don't know. Sometimes I think Darren is doing this because I think he's trying to impress his father.
Mm.
And Justin Foster, Justin Foster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he lives next door. Justin is another one of my kids. My three and him and his two siblings, they all grew up together.
I didn't know that. He's a nice guy. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
So, Justin got on the fire department, I think, when he was 19. And he got his paramedic. So I think, too, Justin and Mike talk about a lot of fire stuff. And I think Darren is kind of left out of the conversation. Mm. So I just told Darren, I said, I hope you're doing it because you want to, not because you feel like you need to compete with Justin or impress your father. I said, as long as you have a job, that's all we care. I don't care if you're at Roach Brothers for the next 40 or 50 years. If you have a job and you're doing your job well and they're good to you and you're making money and you're healthy, it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. He's a responsible man. Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, he wants to do it. He can, try it. But I said, being the paramedic it's a huge commitment to take that class. He's going to take an anatomy class with it as well. So he's going to have his hands full. I don't think he'll have any problem with the book part of it. The physical aspect of it, he's going to have some issues. I don't know if you knew, when I was pregnant with Darren, he had a stroke.
No. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we didn't know that until he came out. He actually came out like 4 weeks early. My water broke. And that's when I feel like he had the stroke, but we didn't know until he was a year old.
Oh my goodness.
So fortunately the stroke was on the right side of his brain. So he has left side weakness. So for him to intubate somebody or start an IV line is going to be really challenging because you need two hands to do that.
For sure.
So when he took the EMT class, I said, you need to make sure you tell your instructors about your left hand because they may have to modify stuff for you. And if you don't tell them, the only one that's going to suffer is you and the patient. So you have to tell them, this is my deal. Can you help me figure out another way to do this? Mm. And they do. They appreciate if you tell them stuff like that. So the paramedic one, though, I'm not sure how that's going to work because you definitely do. You can't intubate. You need to use both hands to intubate. You need two hands to do a line. You need, blood pressure. He does a blood pressure, but he's, it's still, his hand is still, he's got to figure out a better way to do that. Right. So I think there's going to be some challenges to it. And I don't think Mike was on board with him doing it. But I said, you know what? Even if the program was going to cost him money, he was willing to pay. I think it's like $7,000 or $6,000 to take the paramedic thing. And Darren, he has the money. He was prepared to pay it. I said, you know what, Mike, he's 23 years old. Yeah. If this is something he wants to try, you got to let him. He's got to try and either succeed or try and fail and then try again. So, I think Darren will do fine with the book part of it. The physical part of it might be challenging. So, and I told him it's going to be a lot of work, but you just have to kind of put your mind to it and just do it.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Good luck to him. I hope he does well. I'm sure he will. but it might just take a little more work.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, not my cup of tea. I don't, my brain does not work that well. I can't even think about that.
Well, that's not true. You just do things that are different. It's maybe medical is not for you, but that doesn't mean
Oh God, no.
Yeah. But
I can't even, I feel like my mother. I feel like I'm getting early dementia because I forget everything.
I do too. I call it mommy brain. That's what's going on with me. I think that doesn't ever go away.
Yep. That's why I have reminders in my phone.
Yeah.
I think I have 68 reminders in my phone that come up.
Whatever, you get the job done.
Yeah.
So who cares, right? Now, I don't think I ever asked you, how did you and Mike meet? You were in the same town.
Yeah. So the funny thing is my mom graduated with Mike's dad, but we didn't know that like when we got together. So Mike and I met because my best friend Patty and I were going to her work Christmas party at the Sheraton Tower in Framingham. At the time, she worked at Roach Brothers.
Okay.
And so didn't Mike. So I was Patty's date for the Christmas party. So when we went to the party, there was like one table left and there was only one person sitting at it, which was Mike. So we sat with him, but Mike and Patty didn't, even though they worked for Roach Brothers, they didn't know each other. So we sat there, whatever, just kind of small talk. And actually Patty and Mike were talking a lot and he wanted to drive her home. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I drove you here. I don't know him and neither do you. So you're coming home with me.
That's a good friend.
I'm not. And he was pissed. He's like, I was like, I don't know you. Yeah, you seem like you're okay, but I still don't know you. Yeah. I'm not going to put my best friend in a car with you and say, hey, good luck with that, So they must have exchanged phone numbers. They ended up dating for like 3 or 4 months.
Oh, wow.
But they really were kind of clashing and stuff. And I remember Mike and I having a conversation because he couldn't figure out what he kept doing wrong. And I think I just kept telling him, you got to do this, you got to do, and all this stuff. I told him, I said, girls like flowers, but girls like flowers for no reason. You should I'm not saying you need to buy them all the time, but you shouldn't just buy flowers for like a birthday or Valentine's Day. You should just buy them for no reason. And
so you're like coaching him.
Yes. And the thing is, we didn't get along initially, but then I think he just had no idea what to do with Patty. So at the time he worked at a gas station and there was, I don't know if you've heard of Barber Brothers Florist.
I'm not sure. No.
Do you know where the Planet Fitness is in Natick down on 135?
Yes.
So it used to be a florist that was in there.
Okay.
So at the time when Mike was working at the gas station, Barber Brothers would have all their trucks. They had a contract with the gas station. They'd fill up. They just, put it on credit or whatever. So I had told Mike, just buy her flowers sometimes for no reason at all. Then she likes that. So he did, except he bought the flowers when the truck came to get gas, and he just bought the flowers off the truck, which is fine. But you don't need to tell her that because then it looks like you actually made no effort to go get the flowers. So when he gave her the flowers, like an idiot, he told her that he bought them off the truck when they came in to get gas, and she was mad. I'm like, well, yes, stupid. Of course she's going to be mad. You should have just left it. I got you flowers. That's it.
Right.
That's it. So it just, whatever. And it just kind of, they just were kind of clashing heads here and there or whatever. So, but he also became friendly with my brother Jerry, who also worked at the same gas station.
Okay.
And my brother Jerry had fallen down my mother's stairs and broke his back.
Oh, no.
So Mike would come over and see him every now and again to see how he was doing. And Patty and him had broken up. And then just, I know Patty at one point had said, I know you guys like each other. I don't care if you guys date. It's totally fine.
Wow.
I'm like, And I remember we were all out one night, my brothers and I and Mike and stuff like that. And I went out to my car to leave. Mike tried to kiss me and I backed away. I'm like, you dated my best friend. This is weird. And then, like I said, Patty then finally said, I know you guys like each other. I'm totally fine if you guys date. So one of the times he was at my mother's house visiting my brother, he kissed me. And that's how that started.
Wow.
So,
are you still friends with Patty?
Yeah, she was one of my maids of honor in our wedding.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yep.
Great. It's funny how people come into each other's lives.
Yep.
How long did you date before you got married?
We dated, let's see, we started dating in 89 and got married in 93.
Wow. Nice. That's great.
Yep.
Last thought that I'm having right now. Any, last words of wisdom, pieces of advice, or funny stories, any last things you would want to share?
I think just being patient. It's hard being married to a firefighter. It's also rewarding in the sense that you meet people and talk to people you probably wouldn't normally ever talk to. But I think, if I were to give advice to the younger generation, like the people that are in their 20s that are either just getting married to firefighters or, still haven't been married very long, you got to just kind of pick your battles. And it's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to have meltdowns, but you have to understand the job and know that that's, in the long run, that's going to be your financial support. That's going to be your family. That's, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but you kind of have to stick with it. And it's hard to stick with it. Not everybody can do it.
Right.
It's really hard, but some people they want to just be done with it and they don't want to try. And other people, you got to stick with it, but you got to make the commitment one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, it must be hard especially when you're talking about people who used to take overtime a lot more, right?
Yep.
And especially if that income was really the main source and
Yep.
so your spouse is out of the house 3-4 days a week, it
Yep.
might not even feel like you're married anymore sometimes.
Well, that's it. And again, when we had kids, I wasn't not that it wasn't bad with Alex, but there was over 5 years between Alex and Lily.
Mm-hmm.
So I was back to work, full time, and Alex was in school. Then I had Lily, but then Darren and Lily are only 15 months apart.
Wow.
So that was hard because I felt like I just had a baby. Now I'm having another baby. And now I'm going to be home even longer with these two kids that are both in diapers. And, it's hard. I remember calling my mother saying they both need to be changed and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
It really wasn't, I did it. But, you have those moments where your spouse isn't there to help you out, like changing a diaper, little things like that. So it's the littlest things that you think aren't going to put you over the edge. And it's the little things that do put you over the edge because it tests you. It tests your marriage. It tests a lot of things. And it's not, I used to feel bad about feeling like they're not bad thoughts, but it is what it is. It's the lifestyle that a firefighter leads. It's not an easy schedule to get used to. It's terrifying, like when your husband or your spouse goes to work as a firefighter, I hope they can come home. Like I know there aren't a lot of crazy fires around here and things that happen like in other towns, but when you're married to a firefighter, those thoughts go through your head. And I'm sure that everybody thinks it. And I think it's just after a while, not that you become numb to it, but you just have to either find a way to block it out or figure out something to take your mind off of that or something. But it is hard and it's not for everyone. It will test your relationship, whether you're married or not. It's really hard on each other, especially if you have kids. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of happy, sad, angry. It's all kinds of emotions all rolled up in one.
Right.
So you just you either push through it or you don't. It's not for everybody, and I get it.
Yeah, there's no judgment. If somebody were to say, I don't think I could live that life, that's fair. I get that.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I know you have a lot of stuff to do, but it was really nice to talk to you.
It was good to talk to you, too. Yeah. I hope to see your beautiful face again soon.
Thank you. You've inspired me. I'm going to talk to Robbie again and see what we can do. It might not be before Christmas because now it's coming up soon.
Yeah, no. I mean, I just think in general, at least keep it in the back of your mind or whatever. And I don't know, who from the fire station would be interested in, doing it, but it would be nice to just kind of hang out.
We love hosting and we would definitely do that. I think to your point, I maybe leave it up to Robbie to make that decision. And when you leave things up to men, sometimes things don't get done.
Yeah.
So maybe
pretty much.
I'll just encourage him a little bit more, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Awesome. Well, say hi to everybody for me. It was really good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. It was so good to talk to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions for me or you'd like to be interviewed for the Firewives podcast, please email me at thefirewivespodcast@gmail.com. Tune in next week for more Firewives.